Hello everyone, this is part 23 of my Hocus Pocus dollhouse videos. Remember to like and subscribe. Okay, so I'm going to start with a butter churn, and I have no idea if this is going to work. I have just cut out these little pieces here out of cardboard. They are this little shape here. It's just like a little rectangle, and they just go a little bit smaller at the top and bigger at the bottom. And I've got 6 of these cut out, so I'm just going to put them all together with the big parts at the bottom. And the way I'm going to put these together is with some tape. So I'm just going to take some little Scotch tape, and I'm going to take and put all these together. I'm making sure I get the tops lined up, because I want this to be really perfect. And I'm making sure they're all right side up. Now, I don't guess it really matters. I don't know if there's really a right side to it. I mean, they should be the same shape. And I don't think they're really tight together. So that's the shape I've got. And it's like an accordion. Well, not really an accordion, but it just kind of like a shutter. It kind of will fold. But my hopes are to bring it around just like that, and then that should make like a little butter churn shape. And I don't know if I want to try to make it more round, or I think that's a pretty good shape. I like the shape, but I'm going to fix it to where that tape is on the inside. I'm going to put a little bit more tape on it once I get it rolled around. I'm going to tape those two ends together where they meet. But now I'm going to have to cut out a piece to go on the bottom to try to keep that in that shape so it don't just become squishy. So I'm going to have to get that laid, or I'm going to have to stand it here, probably on a piece of foam board. I'm going to stand it here, make sure it's rounded the way I want it, and then I'm just going to trace around it. Okay, I had to find my pencil, so I'm going to, as perfect as I can, try to hold this in place. Okay, so that's the little shape I came up with, and I can measure out how big each piece is and make sure I can sharpen this shape up a little bit, so I'll work on that and then get it cut out, and then it should fit perfect. Okay, so now I've cut that out, and we are going to see if that will fit. What? I'm going to have to make it a little bit smaller, because it is definitely not fitting. I think what I should have done is make it just a little bit smaller, because it's just too perfect. It's just exactly, it's just going to have to be a little smaller to actually go on the inside of this. So let me cut it again. Okay, so I've got it cut a little bit smaller. I just took a little bit off each side. I guess it's sort of the shape of a stop sign, an octagon, or I guess is what it's called. And it fits inside, but it's not perfect. I think it'll fit good enough to where I can just glue it down here. it'll be good enough, I think. I'm just going to leave it. It fits in there. And once I glue it and kind of fill in the gaps with something, I think it'll be okay. So I've got that glued in at the bottom, and it looks pretty good. I mean, it fits, it fills it up pretty good. After I got it glued, it kind of held it together a little bit better. But what I'm going to do before I move to the top, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut a piece of this silver tape. Just like a long skinny strip. And I'm going to take it, hopefully cut that long enough. I didn't. Okay. Well, I can piece it. I don't care to piece it. But I'm going to take that strip and I'm just going to put it around the bottom. Because, you know, butter churns have like these little bands around them. This silver tape is really sticky. It sticks really, really good. It almost made it to the other side, but I could just cut another little piece. Hold on. Almost got it. And then just finish mating that around. I'm going to overlap it a little bit. It's okay if it overlaps, because it'll just give an extra little detail. I could save that piece for the top. But we've got our first little band around it. And then to add even more detail, I'm going to go in there and press these little pins through it. And that'll look like a little rivet or a little nail where they've hammered that band around it. I don't know if that shows up, but that'll just give a good little detail to it. And I'll probably put like 2 on each side. Now as I get up here, there'll be a middle band and a top band. I'll have to cut these pins. They'll probably go through the middle fine, but for the top I'll have to cut it a little bit short because that pin will be longer and go all the way through. But I'll put these pins, at least 2 on the bottom. I'll put 2, and then on as I get higher I'll do just, I'll probably do 2 here and 2 in the middle all the way up. But that just gives a good little detail to look like little nails holding that band on. And of course I'll go all the way around it on every piece just to hold that together. By the time I get this done, this won't come apart at all. This will be like really, really strong. So I will put another band around here in the middle, put the little nails through there, and then do just like I did at the bottom and make a little top for it. And then I'll just have to put a little tiny barbecue stick down through here for the handle. Okay, so there I've got all the parts together, and at the top I did have to cut those little pins because they were going through too far, and I had to make sure they were short enough to also not block this hole that I drilled. because that's where my little handle will have to go. So that's just a piece of little dowel rod. And then there's my little butter churn. I've just got to paint it now. But I'm actually kind of tickled with how that's turned out. Sat here for maybe an hour or less making that. And I really wanted to have a butter churn because there's one that's real noticeable. When I was looking up pictures of the inside of the house, it really stands out. And you can see it in a lot of the pictures. So I really like this. I'll just have to look at it again and see if it's like a dark brown or whatever color it is, and then I'll paint that later. But I'm going to go ahead and make some more stuff before I do paint it. That way I can just paint them all at the same time. And for the next piece that I'm going to make this little axe that is hanging back here on the fireplace. And to do that, I'm going to use a popsicle stick, and I've just split that. I've just took a little piece off of it. I've just broke off as long as I want the handle, and then I've split it just to make it skinnier. And I'm just going to take my little blade and kind of whittle that down to give that a more even shape. So I'll just work on that and give that the shape of a handle, like an axe or a little hatchet would have. I guess that's a hatchet more than an axe because it's just a smaller thing. But just going to whittle this up a little bit so it don't just look like a split popsicle stick. Give it a little hand carved look. And then for the blade part, I'm just going to lay that down and draw. Now I'm just going to do this kind of roughly, but I'm just going to draw my, kind of trace it out a little bit. And then that way I'll have that little part drawn on there. And then out from that, just draw the blade, the shape that I want it, and then just cut out two of those, and then just kind of sandwich this little handle in between those two blades. And to give it a shiny silver look, I will then cover that little cardboard with this same little tape that I used on my butter churn. So right now I'll cut out those little parts and get those glued to the handle, and then put that on it, and then that will be my second little thing made today. And then I just gotta see what else is on my little pictures. I've downloaded some pictures of things I want to make, so I'll see what's to make next. Alright, so there's that little axe, and it's just got those two little pieces of cardboard there. And then I'll just take some of this, wherever my little silver tape went, just take some of that, and I'm probably gonna, let's see here, I'll do it right now. Just cut out a little square, and then I'm going to just make sure I I'm just learning this. I'm just making this up as I go too, so I don't know if this is going to work. But let's see. I want to just fold it down to where the silver just meets, and it will be sealed in that silver. And then that's basically my little axe, my little hatchet. But I'm going to actually go over it with another piece, because I want to make sure it goes down and hits that little bitty tip that I just, missed. I will still go and paint that little edge. And I'm just going to go over just what I did one more time and then I'll paint that little edge with silver, and then of course paint the handle. Now I did sand it a little bit after I whittled on it some, and then I even sanded the tip of the handle and made this a little more rounded instead of just cut flat across the top, because I noticed on every butter churn I've seen has a rounded handle at the tip of it, so I made sure I did that. Okay, so the third thing I'm going to make, I don't know if this shows up, but there's some sort of a long handle. I can't even tell what I'm pointing at. There's a long handle that looks like a shovel. Now I'm guessing this is just some sort of a little thing to shovel out the coals or whatever from the fireplace. It's just a really bad picture of it. So I mean, it just looks like a shadow. I mean, it's a solid black. I'm just assuming it's some sort of a black wrought iron metal type stuff. So I'm going to do just like I did the axe. I'm just going to cut a handle from this little piece of wire, and then just cut out that shape that I see. I don't really even need two. I was going to put two together, but it's okay if the back of the handle shows on that. I'm just going to glue that down to that, cut it the length I want it, and then that's basically all it's going to be, and I'll paint that black, and that'll just, I guess, is supposed to just be some sort of little scoop to scoop out the fireplace. So that's a really simple little thing, just gluing that to that, and then I'll put that to the side. And there's some other things. Let me see what's in my pictures here. Oh gosh, oh yeah, there's like this little saw, this little cross saw here. I'm going to try to make that next. Now, to make this little saw blade, I've cut out a little strip of cardboard and made little zigzags across there, little teeth, and I'm going to put this on a piece of that silver. I've kind of got a little theme going today. I've got all this, it's like everything I've made so far has had this little silver tape on it, but I'm just going to cut a piece of that silver tape and just lay that on there. Just like that. And then to strengthen this up, of course I'm going to fold this over, but before I do that, to strengthen it up, I'm going to run this wire. It's just a little thin wire, and I'm just going to make sure that's bent straight. And I'm going to lay it right at the top of that little zigzag piece. Whoops. Just like that. So that when I fold that tape over, it will just have something strong in there. Because all that is that super thin, tiny little piece of cardboard with that tape over it. And so I wanted to make sure something was across there to keep it straight and just to keep it from just breaking or ripping apart. So now that I've got those laid in there, I'm just going to fold it over. Real careful. And then just press it real good to where I can see those little zigzags in there, and I'm not sure if that shows, but I think it does. And then, I mean, that makes it a lot stronger. So I'm just going to cut this out, cut along where those little teeth are, And the better you press that together, the better you can see those little teeth marks. So you just got to press it together real good to where you can see those. And then just do that all the way across. And then that'll be my little saw blade for the saw that I'm going to make. So let me finish this, and then when I come back I'll show you the handles. I've already got the handles made, so I'm just gonna have to figure out how I'm going to attach it together. Okay, so there's my little saw blade, and just to kinda define those lines, those little jaggedy pieces, I'm just gonna go in there with this little blade, just anything you've got that's flat, and where that tape is not like cut all the way up against that little cardboard, I'm just gonna kind of shape it, kind of press it around and kind of mold it. Just kind of, yeah, I mean, if you actually do this, you'll see it needs just a little defining. So I'm just going in there and just kind of shaping that tape around the teeth a little bit better. But I think it looks pretty good. I mean, they're not exactly perfect, but it looks like a saw that's actually been used, where the little teeth have bent and stuff. So the handles, I just took a popsicle stick and I've rounded those, just kind of whittled those and cut them with my blade. You could do it with a little knife, just whittle it to where it's not straight, it's just got a little bow to it. And I know the saw, that's kind of long, that's kind of big. I actually could take some of that off. I'm not sure how much I want to take off of it. Just a little bit, not a whole lot. But I've just got to figure out how I'm going to attach that between these two pieces. And you want them to go in at the top, because they don't go straight up and down. They usually turn in a little bit. So I've got to, I guess I'm just going to have to very delicately glue that right there. But I'd like to know there's a stronger, I think if I super glue that and put my baking soda on there, it'll really hold that good. So I'm probably just going to glue these together with the super glue and the baking soda. So that's probably what I'll do. And then there's some little pieces that go in the middle, and I'm just going to make those out of toothpicks. And then there's just a little wire that goes across the top up here. So I'm just going to do that probably off camera, because it's pretty basic and simple, just running my toothpicks across there. Now I'll cut the tip of the toothpick off so it's flat, but you'll basically see it when I get it done, and it'll be easy to understand. So since it's such a tedious little job super gluing that all together, I'll do it and then show you how it looks when I come back. Okay, so here is my little saw that I made, and there's actually one thing wrong with it. Now, I think it turned out really good. I like how it looks, and like I said, it was just kind of tedious trying to glue that blade on there. I just had to hold it a certain way, kind of like this, and then just drip that glue there, and then sprinkled the baking soda on it. And the baking soda, I mean, I would have never got this done without that baking soda, because it really made that glue take hold. And then this is just a toothpick, two toothpicks, and I've just slightly bent those and glued those in the middle so they'd stay together. And and then this is just a little wire. If it shows up, there's just a little wire twisted going across from one side to the other. But yeah, there is one thing that is not right about this, and if you know, you know. If you don't, then I'm just not even going to point that out. But you know, if you don't know, or even if you do know, it turned out really good. I really like how it looks. And then again, here's my little butter churn, my little hatchet, and my little shovel, which I mean, that's the easiest thing I've made all day. Just glue that little piece of wire, and then I'll just get all these little pieces painted up, and then we'll place them in the house. And then that's probably all I'll do today. I've got one more thing I'm going to do, and that's going to be on the outside of the house. Oh, and I do have something else that I made. Let me find where I put them. Alright, now the other thing I made are these boxes. Now I made one box, and these are just made out of cardboard. Whoops, about dropped it. I just made this out of cardboard, and I cut a little piece out on the side just to make it look like some wood, like a wood piece. It's broke out of it, and I put a little piece over here, and then I just put 4 pieces together. I mean, it was just really another little tedious job of just getting those tiny skinny little pieces glued together, and then I glued that to this bottom cardboard, and now I've just got to go right around the edge of it to get that off. And then there's me a little crate, and I can of course paint that up. And then I made this one. I just wanted to have a couple more of those little crates like I had made before. So and when I paint these, I'll probably paint these with Mod Podge. Like mix my paint with the Mod Podge, because that Mod Podge will just help hold it better. And I'll probably go inside in these corners and just smear some wood glue just to strengthen them up some more. But I made those, and I can even I don't know what I'll do with them. I'll just stack them somewhere, because it just looks like something they would have had left in the meal. So I just like these little boxes to stack around, and I could even stack them and use them like a shelf, you know, or just do whatever with them. So I'll get all this stuff painted up, and then we'll work on that last thing, which is something on the outside of the house. Okay, so I was going to show one more thing before I go to do the paint. Now let's just pretend I want to glue these parts back together, these 2 pieces of cardboard. Now if I was going to do the baking soda and the super glue thing like I did on my saw, I just held these pieces like this, like I was holding you know, the 2 parts together with one hand, and then I just I dripped the glue on there, and then I sprinkled the baking soda. Now you don't really want your baking soda to get between the 2 pieces that you're trying to glue. So it's just like if I was wanting to glue these 2 pieces of cardboard back together, which I'm going to try to do and try to make it show up in the video. So I'm trying to watch what I'm doing and the camera at the same time. So see, I mean, there's a little skinny thin piece of cardboard, and I just want to put a little super glue there. And you could just try to glue them like this, and of course the super glue soaks into it, so I'm going to put it on both sides. But that's exactly my point, like how these are not wanting to stay together. That's where the baking soda will come in. Like, see, that's not wanting to take hold real quick. And you could sit there till it dries, but if you're kind of just in a hurry, then you can put that baking soda down, like hold them together exactly how you want them, and then rub the baking soda on both sides, and then that just holds it quicker. But that could build up and make like a little glob, but you could probably take and sand it down some. But see how quick that baking soda made that bond. So that's how I did my saw. And my little tip is just like when you are putting two pieces together, make sure you keep them held together and don't let it get between, don't let the baking soda get between the parts, because then it's just going to glob up and they're not going to go together good. But anyway, there's my little cardboard piece that I just glued, and it does really good. I've seen people on YouTube use the baking soda with their super glue, and it just helps it dry quicker and it helps it take hold quicker. And I'm just glad I saw that, because I mean, I've used that technique on so many of these pieces. So what I wanted to do on the outside, I was noticing in pictures of the house, or even just watching it, the movie, I noticed there's a lot of detail to this part of the house. Some of this is actually chipping off, and you can see the boards behind it. So I'm going to actually go in there and dig some of this out and just make it look like it's chipped away some, and that's probably something I'll have to work on a little bit, cause it's really on there really good. So see, I find out scratching it will bring it off better than picking at it. So I'm gonna go in here and just kind of scratch it up and make it look a little more realistic, because where the paint job has just been perfectly done, it just needs a little banging up. So I'm gonna scratch off some of this work that I've done. And I about forgot, now this is that little piece of cardboard that I'd glued together, and I'm trying, I mean, of course you can't tell just by looking, but I'm really pulling these parts. I mean, I had to really pull hard. I mean, it definitely wouldn't have came apart if I wasn't trying to make that come apart. But it had a really strong bond. And you could, I don't know, I'll have to play it back, but you might even have heard the little pop it made when it pulled that apart. Because that super glue and baking soda makes a really good bond. And I was in here playing with this earlier and thought, man, I can't hardly pull that apart. I didn't want to try too hard because I was wanting to show it before I did it. But it made a really good bond. I mean, that would have held up for a long time if I hadn't purposely pulled it apart. Okay, so here I'm going to place these little things where they go. Well, I'm not going to exactly put them where they go, because the little hatchet needs to hang somewhere back here at the fireplace. And I don't even know how I'm going to hang that up, so I'll do that later, but it goes back in that area. And then the butter churn, you see it back here in that same area. And then even the little shovel thing here. Well, wait a minute. First of all, I'm going to film this a little closer where you can see how that turned out. I don't even remember if I showed the final look of these. I don't think I did. So here's how they look after I painted the butter churn, and the paint didn't really want to stick to that silver, but I'm okay with that because that just I kind of like the metal showing, so I thought that turned out pretty good. And then the little hatchet, I just I tried to age the blade a little bit, but not too much because it don't look too aged in the picture. So I didn't want to put too much on that. And then this little thing, it looks pretty good. I think it turned out really cool. And that will hang somewhere back here also. So there's a lot of little things that are on this side of the house. Now the other side of the house, that's where the axe, or not the axe, this little saw, this hangs on the other side. And this turned out really cool, I think. And then these two little boxes, after I got them painted up, they will go on the other side. And I've really got to get to work on making stuff for the other side, because this one's filling up a lot quicker. There's just way more going on over here, which, you know, a lot of the scenes take place over here on this side of the house. So I guess that's why they put so much more. Well, I mean, there's a lot of detail in all the house, but this side really had a lot going on, and I guess it's because we saw a lot of stuff happening over on this side. But I really like these little props. I'll take some pictures of this for the end of the video, some little close-ups. But then let's go over to the other side. And actually, the saw, it actually goes on this side too. Now it's going to hang somewhere right here. And now in the movie, I don't know that there was a door here. I just put the door there under the steps, mainly to give me a little closet area for the broom and stuff. So I don't know where that closet was in the movie. I know that over on this wall back in here, it looks like there might have been a door on that wall, so there could have been a closet back in here. But just the way I did the outside of the house, the other side of that wall, it just is on the outside, so there's really not a room on the other side of that wall. So I just wanted to stick mine here. And another reason, it's just a little easier to get to it also. And I just liked using up that space under the stairs. So that's where I chose to put my closet door. And then of course this will hang here. And now in the movie, you see this hanging on the wall, but you don't see a door, so mine's not going to match up perfect. But I'm still going to hang it here. It don't really matter if it hangs in front of the door. And then later, there's also a bench that will have to be made to sit here also. So I'll have to make that little bench. So I guess the only thing for the other side will be those two little boxes. So over here, we've got these two little boxes. And I guess this side's filled up pretty good. I mean, I don't know what I made the boxes for. Now I am going to make some little burlap sacks, like some little feed sacks or grain sacks, to just sit around over on this side, because I'm just really trying to think of some things that can fill this up over here. But it's looking pretty good. I like how it's turning out so far. And of course I can make some more bottles and things to put over here. And this could even be, I was wanting some sort of a little, I was wanting this box to be right in here. And these boxes will just give me something to sit this one on, so that this one can sit up higher. And then this one can just sit anywhere over here. Okay, so before I go, right before I went to do this video, put all the clips together, I was sitting here making this little table, and it's just made with the little wooden legs, and then all this part up here is cardboard. And I didn't actually film me making this, but I did take pictures of the process. Now I've even got a little drawer in it, and this is going to sit here in Sarah's bedroom. And I was also back to this piece of furniture. You know, I've got Winifred on the back of this, and I don't know if I showed, but I've got this table, and I don't know if I showed the bottom, but I've got Mary on the bottom of this one. And then I've also added a purple amethyst to this one, and another little stone over here on this side. This one's actually just from a Lego set, but this one is a real purple amethyst, and I had a big piece and I just broke a little piece of it off so I could glue it on the table, because I know those are used in witchcraft. So I thought that was a cool little detail. But then on this little table here for Sarah, I've got my little doily, and I've aged it a little, and this little porcelain pitcher, I've tried to age that up some, and it's actually still wet. It's probably not glued down all the way, but I've put Sarah on the bottom of this since it's going to be in her bedroom, and actually in the drawer, that's where I've got her lucky rat's tail, because I've been trying to figure out where I wanted to put that. So that's where her little rat tail ended up going, and so that's just a little thing for her. And then I want to make 2 more tables, one for Mary and one for Winifred, and I probably won't make them exactly the same, and they probably won't even have a drawer. I just wanted Sarah's to have a drawer so that I would have a place to put that tail. But I thought that was pretty cute, and I'll try to post those pictures of me making that for you to see at the end. And I guess that's it. I know there's going to be something I'm going to think about when I stop videoing this, but I think that's all I was going to show. Wait, there is one more thing. Now, the last thing that I didn't show was this little wooden spoon. I've got this for the cauldron, and the handle was a lot thicker up here on this end, and I just shaved a lot of that off to make it a little more skinny and fit the hand of the doll. So that actually came out of a sugar bowl, I think, like from the 1970s, and I thought that was the perfect little spoon to go in the cauldron. So I don't think I'd showed that before. So I guess that's it for this week's video, and I'll show you some of the pictures now.